The Pueblo Revolt of 1680. The Pueblo Revolt was a resistance against the Spanish colonizers in New Mexico, and it's the only partially successful indigenous revolt in North America against the Spanish conquistadors. The Spanish were led by Juan de Oñate, and they originally came looking for gold and silver, but they quickly became oppressive. Under the encomienda system, which promised protection in exchange for the Pueblo allegiance to the crown, the Pueblo people were forced to labor for the Spanish benefit while their culture, language, and religion were violently suppressed. Catholicism was imposed, the Pueblo religious symbols were destroyed, children were separated from their families and brainwashed, and the men faced brutal punishment if they disagreed. This Spanish rule went on for almost 80 years. Changes started to happen when Pope from Oke-Oñé began to rally tribes. He united 12 of them, including the Quiros, the Tempiros, and the Tiwas. He claimed that the Spanish oppression had caused famine and suffering, and that the corn gods had abandoned them, which served as a symbol of cultural and spiritual loss, and also encouraged the Pueblo people to rally against the Spanish colonizers. Even groups such as the Navajo and Apache, who weren't originally Pueblo people, joined in response to the Spanish violence. On August 11th, 1680, the Pueblo launched the revolt at dawn. They chose to attack when the Spanish were vulnerable, and they cut off the water supply to Santa Fe, which was currently occupied. Around 400 colonists were killed, and the rest of the survivors fled south. This left the Pueblo people in control of Santa Fe for the next 12 years. Some short-term effects of this include the Pueblo reclaiming their culture, as Catholic practices were banned, Spanish symbols were destroyed, the Spanish language was rejected, and intercultural marriages were frowned upon. They even destroyed European written records. Still, though, their life wasn't easy as famine, raids, and resource shortages were still ongoing. 12 years later, in 1692, the Spanish returned under Antonio de Otterman. This time, though, their approach was different. They offered protection again in exchange for allegiance, and the Pueblo people accepted this arrangement, but they insisted that they were to maintain their traditions and their culture. In the long term, this revolt had lasting effects as forced labor declined, intermarriage became common again, and most importantly, the Pueblo religion, language, and customs ensued. Although the revolt didn't secure lasting independence, it does demonstrate a powerful example of resilience and determination of a people to preserve their way of life.